So, how are tech funds empowering sustainability? So, as part of our GST webinar series, we had a discussion with Paul Ark, who's the general advisor at Gobi Partners. So, to tell you a little bit about Gobi Partners, they're one of the longest standing Pan-Asian venture capital firms. And they're really dedicated to supporting entrepreneurs in emerging and underserved markets. So, one of their core mission is to help entrepreneurs join the fight against the world's most pressing problems. So here's our discussion.
Paul, obviously you've been on the ground for many, many years and talking to so many startups throughout the world in Southeast Asia. So what's been the big shift for you?
It's quite interesting because I actually went through a bit of a career transition, as the pandemic started to take hold and in the middle of it. So, I actually spent a number of years running a fintech fund for a bank. So I was running a corporate venture capital fund for one of the large Thai banks, doing a lot of work globally around fintech and deep tech. And I left that job shortly before the world went into lockdown. So, by the time the pandemic hit, I was already used to just sort of staying at home in my PJs, ordering my dinners from food delivery. So it actually wasn't that big of a transition for me to go from fun employment to full-scale lockdown. I was already living that life.
But actually, remember we met in Saudi before, just a month or two.
That was my second to last trip. So I did that one. That was, I think, December, and then I was at CES in February. And so the big worry is that they thought that COVID might have been spreading even as early as then. So I was a little bit wary in the first couple of weeks of lockdown, just waiting to see if I would become symptomatic. Fortunately, did not. But what had happened through much of 2020 is I was really just personally immersing myself around the topics of sustainability, impact, ESG. One, because it sort of coincided with a lot of my own personal and philanthropic interests, but also in the tech space, I've always been a little bit of a mercenary. I kind of just follow the action. So I kind of just had this growing sense that it would be sustainability would be an interesting topic over the next few years. And sure enough, as the sort of pandemic hit, and we had all these sort of global wildfires. You had Black Lives movement take hold. It just was sort of validation that there were a lot of forces in the world sort of converging around environmental issues, social issues, government corruption issues. So I actually wound up landing my current job smack dab in the middle of lockdown when Gobi Partners approached me. And a lot of the impetus for that job offer was a recognition from the fund's part that tech investing, particularly in Southeast Asia, would not be business as usual going forward. That it wasn't going to be let's hold tight for 12 months and everything will go back to normal in 2021. But it was this recognition that there was a big sea change and sort of this tectonic shift in what problems the world needed to solve. And so it was that recognition that as a fund, we would probably need to start thinking about ESG, sustainability, impact in some sort of formalized way. So, as a fund, Gobi is actually, Gobi has been working around the impact space and the sustainability space in a very ad hoc manner for a number of years. A couple of years ago, Gobi had made a commitment to allocating a certain amount of capital into female founders. We've been doing that for the last few years. We earmarked about $50 million for female founders across the region. Last year we had hired a head of circular economy out of the Philippines. So that person sort of wears a double hat between as one of our partners for our Philippines fund, but also pushing environmental and circular economy issues across the region. We hired a chief diversity officer out of Hong Kong. She works with my Thailand business partner, Shannon, on gender and diversity issues. So my hire was sort of a move to say, okay, we've got all these pieces in place. This is part of our strategy. Let's actually start putting together into some sort of unified strategy. And let's start looking at these issues going forward. So, we actually operate a number of different funds across the region, and we will continue to raise funds around traditional areas of opportunity like, fintech, e-commerce, logistics. But we're also looking at new areas of opportunity, whether it's food and ag, whether it's light manufacturing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, as verticals. And then basically looking at ESG risk factors and opportunities as a horizontal across all of our fund activities. Not just our fund investments going forward, but looking back at what's already in our portfolio and say, are our existing companies, are they managing their risks in a post-COVID world? And as many funds in the later stage in the public markets start putting more emphasis on ESG, it's no longer enough for startups to say, are you investment ready? But also, are you ESG ready? Have you controlled for the risks? Are you leveraging all the opportunities out there? Because that's what the capital markets and that's what a lot of these funds are now looking for. So that has been both my journey over the past 13 months, as you say, as well as that of the fund. We're definitely starting to see, we're not alone. We're seeing a number of our peers across the region now start, adding ESG officers, start, adding, looking at ESG criteria, and start thinking about sustainability issues.